On Sunday, May 23, 1994, Lieutenant Colonel Como addressed a filmed press conference. Como was well connected in the military. Like the GOC of the Lagos Garrison Command, Brigadier General Isha Bami, Como was from the military minority but military significant Zulu ethnic group in the northeast. At the press conference, Como had with him a bag containing the charred bones and remains of the victims. He invited the journalists to inspect the bag's contents. Although no one had been charged with the murders and the investigation and trial had not commenced, Como already felt he knew who was responsible. He said, "Ogoni is bleeding, and not because of federal troops, but by the irresponsible and reckless thuggery of Mossop elements, which must be stopped immediately." He appealed to the press not to allow themselves to be used as propaganda tools by a dictator like Ken Saro Wiwa. Como promised that whoever is involved, no matter how highly placed in the society, would be appropriately dealt with according to the laws of Nigeria.
We have, in the past, I think that the press generally, been a little bit too sympathetic of Mossop, and to the point that we always sometimes hide their irresponsible acts. Gentlemen, I want to ask you now, these distinguished citizens that have been killed, what on earth can justify such people who have served this state in different capacities being beaten to death and burnt as if they are some common criminals, as has happened to them? To this end, I have directed all the villages there that took part must be rounded up. Mossop leadership that was part of this game must be arrested, and the security forces are out doing just that.
On the 21st May 1994, 4 Ogoni chiefs were brutally murdered. Saro Wiwa had been denied entry to Ogoni land on the day of the murders, but was arrested and accused of inciting them. He denied the charges but was imprisoned for more than a year before being found guilty and sentenced to death by a specially convened tribunal. The same happened to 8 other Mossop leaders who, along with Saro Wiwa, became known as the Ogoni Nine. On 8 November 1995, a military ruling council upheld the death sentences. The military government then immediately moved to carry them out. The prison in Port Harcourt was selected as a place of execution. Although the government wanted to carry out the sentences immediately, it had to wait for 2 days for gallows to be built. Within hours of the sentences being upheld, 9 coffins were taken to the prison, and the following day, a team of executioners were flown in from Sokoto to Port Harcourt. On 10th November 1995, Saro Wiwa and the rest of the Ogoni Nine were taken from the army base where they were being held to Port Harcourt prison. They were told that they were being moved to Port Harcourt because it was feared that the army base they were being held in might be attacked by Ogoni youths. The prison was heavily guarded by riot police and tanks, and hundreds of people lined the streets in anticipation of the executions. After arriving at Port Harcourt prison, Saro Wiwa and the others were herded into a single room and their wrists and ankles were shackled. They were then led one by one to the gallows and executed by hanging, with Saro Wiwa being the first. It took 5 tries to execute him due to faulty equipment. His last words were, "Lord, take my soul, but the struggle continues." We have done a comprehensive story about the Ken Saro Wiwa and the Ogoni Nine story, and you can check the link in the description for the video. In this episode, Mr. Essien Nkang has been summoned to the witness box to testify in the petition brought forward by the Saro Wiwa family against the government of General Sani Abacha. He was the officer in charge of Port Harcourt prisons at the time of the execution of the Ogoni Nine. He gives a chilling account of the day Ken Saro Wiwa and the other Ogoni chiefs were executed in his presence. If you enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Drop us a comment, let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next video.
May it please this honorable commission, I appear, sir, for the petitioners. My name is Anthony Dibe, SAN. Appearing with me are the following: Mr. Lendom Meti, Mrs. Joy Yowika, Mr. Raf Uwechia, and Miss Edosa Azunabo.
May your Lordship be pleased. Distinguished members of the Commission, I appear for the Honorable Commission. My name is Chinwe Owandu. Mr. Emmanuel Akaka will be appearing with me.
What's the position? How far have we gone here?
Your Lordship, this case is very close to conclusion. We have just one more witness, the controller of prisons, Port Harcourt prisons.
Is he here?
He's here, my lord. Mr. Ankan.
Call him.
Mr. Ankan. Yes. The then controller of Port Harcourt prisons.
What witness will this be?
My lord, he will be the 18th witness.
18th.
He was the officer in charge of Port Harcourt prisons between February to December 1995. Please swear him.
Do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give before this honorable commission shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. So if you like, you can sit down. No, I'll stand.
Mr. Ankan, what are your full names?
My full names are Essien Nkang.
Speak up, they're recording your voice. Please.
Essien Nkang.
What is your address?
My present address is State Prison Headquarters, Ondo State.
Please
Akure.
hold the microphone close to your mouth.
State Prison Headquarters, Akure, Ondo State.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a public servant.
Yes, what sort of public servant? What do you do now?
I'm the controller of prisons in charge of Ondo State.
Thank you. Where were you between February and December 1995?
I was the officer in charge of Port Harcourt prisons.
All right. Were you served with a petition written by Mossop?
No, I have not been served.
Did you receive the summons of this commission in respect of that petition?
Yes,
That's why you are here.
that is why I'm here.
Okay. And you have brought with you a representation which represents your your testimony before this commission.
Yes, I have.
May I see a copy of it? May I see it, please?
Okay.
My lord, I applied to put this in evidence. We also apply that the petitioner my lord, the witness be allowed to read it.
What exhibit is this? 67. Exhibit 67, mark and given to read.
I'm sorry, my lord, that's not correct. We have Exhibit 80 already. So this should be 81.
All right.
Yes, my lord. My lord, please.
Have you agreed, the registrar and the council?
Exhibit 80 is representation of the controller of Kogi prisons who was in Rivers State when the Ogoni 20 were detained. So this is Exhibit 81, my lord. Mr. Ankang, please read your response.
Mark it and let him read it.
I, Essien Kang, was the officer in charge of the Port Harcourt prison between February to December 1995. A very short period, but turbulent period in the history of the prison. Then I used to lock between 1,200 and 1,400 inmates daily, among whom were about 500 armed robbery suspects, 100 condemned convicts, political activists, coup plotters, drug barons and couriers, students involved in cult activities, and about 100 lunatics, both males and females. It is necessary to paint the above picture to enable us visualize the whole prison as it was then. Legally, the main responsibilities of the prisons include the safe custody of inmates, reformation, and rehabilitation after discharge. These responsibilities are discharged to all inmates, whether they are awaiting trial, convicted, or condemned. It is therefore very erroneous and mischievous for persons to suggest that the prisons department is involved in the killing of anybody. All condemned prisoners to be hanged are handed over alive to the sheriff, who is a representative of the state, after which the prison official is only a mere witness of what transpires. The Ogoni hanging. On the 9th of November 1995 at about 10 p.m., the State Controller of Prisons and myself were summoned before the then Administrator of Rivers State, Lieutenant Colonel Dauda Komo. He handed over an execution order and a list of 9 Ogonis, confirming their execution and ordered that the exercise must be concluded the next day. With the execution order, the date and time fixed, the necessary machinery for execution was put in place. 10th November 1995. Between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. on 10th of November 1995, the whole prison and environs had been taken over by soldiers and mobile policemen. Traffic, both vehicular and pedestrian, on all adjoining streets stopped, and there was utter silence everywhere. Some prison officials who were not within the prison were tied hands and feet and put in a store and locked. The 9 Ogonis, who were earlier condemned by Ogoni Civil Disturbances Tribunal on the 31st of October 1995 were 1. Ken Bisun Saro Wiwa, 2. Dr. B.N. Kubel, 3. Dr. Winem, number 4. Baribo Bera, number 5. Saturday Dobi, number 6. Nodu Rawu, 7. Felix Mwate, 8. Paul Levura, and 9. David Oboku. Contrary to public opinion, only numbers 5 to 9 persons were interned in the Port Harcourt prison. Saro, Wiwa, and 3 others were never in my prison and were only brought on the morning of 10th November 1995 for execution. I do not know where they were kept. At about 11:25 a.m., the 4 condemned convicts in our prison were brought in a black Maria amidst heavy armed escort. Mobile policemen, regular police, as well as the army, under the command of a major, provided security. The 9 condemned convicts were then handed over to the sheriff alive. Prison officials present were now mere witnesses. The execution proper commenced exactly at 12 p.m. By 1:30 p.m., the whole exercise had been concluded. Removal and burial. It is not the responsibility of the prisons department to bury executed convicts, but that of the health department of the local government authority in whose jurisdiction the execution took place. Thus, in Ogoni 9 execution, the chairman of the then caretaker committee of Port Harcourt City Council was duly informed, and he provided coffins, graves, and truck for the conveyance of the corpses. At exactly 3 p.m., the 9 coffins containing the bodies of the executed convicts were conveyed to the public cemetery in Port Harcourt with armed escorts. The authorities of the Port Harcourt City Council, who are managers of the public cemetery, would provide the exact location of the burial sites. A letter addressed to the chairman of the Port Harcourt City Council is attached. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ankang. Just a couple of questions for the purpose of clarification. You spoke about the execution order, which of course set in motion the chain of events. Did you bring a copy of the order? Do you have a copy?
No, I don't have a copy.
It was never in your custody?
No, it's a security document.
I see.
You can apply for it through the Minister of Internal Affairs.
Okay, thank you. From your testimony, all the prisoners, the condemned prisoners, were handed over to the sheriff alive by the prison officials, all working under you?
All of them were handed over alive. All 9 of them alive.
Thank you very much. You also stated that, well, from the point when you handed over all the condemned prisoners, you became mere spectators to whatever was going on. Did you in fact witness the actual execution?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You did. Thank you. What about the burial? Were you also there when the prisoners were buried?
No, but I witnessed them being put in various caskets and then carried away.
Thank you. There is, you did not witness the actual burial?
No, I did not.
Okay, so there will be no need for my other question. Mr. Nkang, please look at page 2 of Exhibit 1. The topmost part of it. You stated that some prison officials who were not within the prison were tied hand and feet and put in a store and locked. Tied hand and feet?
The military didn't want anybody moving around. And most of these, my officers, were either coming to work at that time. So they were all captured and their legs were tied.
I see.
And their hands, and they were put in a store and they were not released till after 3 o'clock. And this exercise started around 7 a.m.
Okay. All right, Mr. Nkang, that will be all for him, my lord. Thank you.
Any cross-examination?
May it please the Honorable Commission, we have a few questions for the witness. Mr. Nkang, Please, can you tell this honorable commission the number of years of experience you have as a prison officer?
About 12 years.
Now, Mr. Nkang, will it be correct to suggest that you are very familiar with the procedures in the prison service?
Yes, it will be very correct.
Can you tell this honorable commission the standard procedure for execution of prisoners, condemned prisoners?
No, I cannot.
Why?
Security.
Now, Mr. Nkang, can you tell this honorable commission why then you revealed the procedure for the execution of the Ogoni 9? Is it not covered by security?
I've not reviewed the procedure. I've only told you that they were executed. I have not reviewed the procedure.
Now, okay, maybe you're a little bit, you don't fully understand the question. Now, what I mean, to put it in ordinary parlance, is this. The standard procedure, including the process from the court judgment, the signing of the execution warrant, the receipt of the execution warrant by the prison, etc., and all the approval procedures, etc. I'm not necessarily, I haven't gotten to the stage of what happens in the gallows, which I will still ask you about, but I want you to tell the court, the commission, the normal procedure and processes that you go through before you are fully authorized to carry out an execution.
Please, I will not be able to go into that.
Are you familiar with the Prisons Act?
I'm very familiar.
Now, let me put it this way. You are a witness before this commission, and you have sworn on oath to tell the truth. And you have an obligation to answer any questions that are put to you. I hope you are very clear about that obligation which you owe, that duty which you owe to this commission. Are you aware of that duty?
Yes, I will answer any question I believe it does not breach security.
Say it again. You believe what?
That will not breach security.
That will not bring
National security.
Milord, I would insist that the witness answers the simple question that has been put to him as to the procedure for execution of condemned prisoners.
I will just state that when a warrant of execution has been given and signed, the normal procedure starts.
Now, how do you normally receive the execution order?
Well, the execution order is from the court or from the tribunal. It will be addressed to the controller of prisons.
Yes, and they have a bailiff?
Certainly, somebody must bring it to the controller of prisons.
Yes. Thank you. That is just the point we're trying to make. Now, it is not the normal procedure for the controller of prisons to go to the governor to collect the order, is it?
It is not, but during military occupation, anything can happen. You can be requested to come and collect the warrant, then you have to go and collect.
I'm satisfied. You know, it's not the normal procedure. Yes. Now, do you have or can you produce a copy of the execution order?
No, I
The
cannot.
warrant. Now, I suggest to you that the execution warrant was dated the 31st of October. Will I be correct? 1995?
I cannot say, since I don't have a copy here.
Now, talking about the procedure, we'll go back to the procedure for execution. You would agree with me that in the normal procedure for execution, the entire execution process is carried out by the prison officials who are authorized by the Prison Act to carry out the execution. Am I correct?
You are not correct.
Can you then explain to the commission what the normal procedure is?
As I said earlier, the business of the prison stops when the prison authorities hand over the condemned criminals alive to the sheriff. That is all. Everybody, including the building in which the gallows is situated, is now under the authority of the sheriff. He gives instructions.
Okay. Now, I mean, I'm ignorant because I don't work in the prisons, and we are here to find out the truth. When, in the course of an execution process, you normally would have the prison officers securing the prisons. Is that correct? That's the normal procedure.
I don't understand you.
The prison officers secure the prisons. Is that correct?
You are correct.
Exactly. Now, was it normal procedure from your many years of experience as a prison officer for the prison officers who are supposed to secure the prison to be tied arms and legs and put in a store whilst an execution process is going on? Is that normal procedure?
Well, it's not normal.
Thank you.
I told you under military occupation, anything can happen.
Yes. I sympathize with you, really. You know, I'm sorry about that. That's why we're here. Now, so in many ways, Mr. Nkang, it will be correct to suggest to you that in view of the fact that you had been excluded from the execution process, you would not be in a position to know what happened. Would that be correct?
I don't understand you.
I will take it again. From the stories that you told, one, you were invited to the governor's office and handed over an execution process. Two, you didn't keep some of the convicts that were to be executed purportedly by you. Three, your officers were gagged and dumped in a store. That from all these facts, which you yourself gave evidence on, that it would be correct to suggest that you do not know much about the execution process. Am I right?
I did not say that I said some of my officers, not all. Some of them, not all. And I was not the only person that went to the governor's office. I said my controller and myself.
I agree with you. I mean,
Okay.
I agree with you completely on that. All I'm just saying is that the prison as an authority
Yes.
had been sort of pushed aside or hijacked by this force of armed mobile policemen, armed soldiers, etc. And consequently, the prisons was not aware of the execution process. Is that correct?
Well, the prison was aware of the execution process.
Yes, what I mean is you can't really say much about what happened. That's what I'm talking about.
Why? We can say.
Okay. So you can strongly say what happened. Can you strongly say what happened?
Ask your question. If I can say, I will answer.
Okay, good. So, can you say who the major was that took over the prisons?
No, if you go into the records, you find out who the major is.
I am not the record. You are the record. So tell the commission. Who was the major?
The major was the commander of the internal task force.
What is his name?
No, I don't know his name.
Can that be Obi Umahi?
Well, maybe. I don't keep the records.
Yes. Again?
But I've told you he was the commander of the internal task force.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, again, if we want to agree with you, immediately the sheriff took over, immediately the live bodies, as it were handed over to the sheriff. You wouldn't know what happened from then on.
Why, I say we are witnesses.
You were witnesses.
We are witnesses, the prison officers.
You are here to give evidence for yourself. Were you a witness? Or
I was a witness.
Were a witness. Were witnesses.
I and my colleagues were witnesses.
To what happened?
Yes.
So you were not tied up?
Why? I said that the people that were tied maybe were the officers that came late to work, and the military didn't want people moving around the area.
Okay. Now, I suggest to you that the diseased convicts were not executed in accordance with the provisions of the law. In other words, they were not executed by a process of hanging.
But how?
Tell the commission. I suggest to you that they were not executed by that process.
I don't understand your question.
How were they executed? You said you were there.
The warrant said hanging. They were hanged. In my statement, I said that the people were hanged.
Okay. After the hanging, what happened? You were there.
After the hanging, the next thing is burial.
Now, I suggest to you that after the hanging, they wanted, these soldiers that took over the prisons, wanted to make sure that those people were dead, and they poured acid on them, their corpses.
It's not correct.
It's not correct.
Yes.
What happened?
After the hanging, the doctors certified them dead. There is a coroner's report. I said earlier, if you want the details, you apply to the Minister of Internal Affairs and you have them.
Okay.
The coroner's report is there. All the reports are there. They were now put in various caskets.
Yes.
Various caskets, and then taken to the Port Harcourt cemetery and buried.
Okay. Now,
so I don't know where the acid was poured on them, according to you.
Oh, okay. So you are sure that the acid wasn't poured within the prison premises?
I don't know anything about acid.
Okay.
I said that they were put in various caskets, 9.
Yes.
And sealed and carried in a lorry and taken to the cemetery. That is all.
Good. Now, immediately the corpses left the prison, you don't know what happened to them, do you?
Well, I can say so.
You can say. Now, do you know that acid was poured on those corpses before they were buried?
I cannot say so.
Good. In fact, you are not in a position to say so. Because you were not there when they were buried.
I cannot say so.
Yes. Now, do you know the chairman of the local government to whom you handed over the corpses?
No, I don't know the chairman of the local government. The letter is addressed to the chairman of the local government to provide coffins, burial sites, and transport to convey the corpses for burial. So there was no point for me to know the chairman personally.
May it please the Honorable Commission. I humbly, regrettably, would be applying to summon the chairman of the local government. That is the only problem that I have, because the issue of the point of acid, which went on with the burial, before the burial, is a problem that we have. And
on what issue are you calling the chairman?
On the burial, for two issues, sir. The first one is that in any event, we have a problem of knowing the site of the burial, so that we can, as part of our request, that they can be given proper burial. So we need to know the site, and we thought we would have gotten it from the prisons. But when he came today and said they just handed it over, I have a problem, sir.
Well, my lord, we object to that application for the reason that this case must have to come to an end someday, my lord. We have been at this since January.
Without his applying, you should have even done that without his applying.
Well, my lord,
hold it. It's an issue arising from our discussion yesterday that they want to know where the Ogoni 9 were buried. The man who can give us evidence on that is the man to whom he said he handed over. One of the things that will soothe the jarred nerves of the community is to return the corpses for reburial. And he said, you object. Objection to what?
Well, my lord, we had meant to deal with that through other administrative means, but if my lord directs that we summon the chairman, of course we will.
Sorry, I actually just wanted to know from you, because I think you can figure out things that you will get answers from officially from people like him. The chairman of the local government is not likely to tell you whether there was acid poured on the body. Maybe forensic analysis might prove that. My position would have been that, first of all, we know and we hope that the piece of land where these people were buried has not moved away. If you secure the right to access, then the issue of where the local government chairman is becomes immaterial, because you could end up, for example, on the day that they took the bodies for burial, the chairman might say he was not there, and you're going to go round and round inside. I think what we should be looking for is the right of entry to the place, and you probably don't need a local government chairman to give you that right, because he won't. So I thought we could close the case, but still progress on that path as part of what the chairman has just mentioned.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it doesn't. What I'm saying in effect is, the issue of summoning the chairman of the local government council is possible as part of our ongoing discussion. It doesn't have to come here to give evidence.
I would concede that our major desire is to have access. That is our major desire. I will concede. But I just hope that without the exercise of the coercive powers of the commission, that we would succeed. And that is where I have a fear, why I would have preferred that there be someone to come here.
Have you got Exhibit 81? Have you got it there?
Yes, ma'am.
Look at the letter.
Yes. I have read it, sir.
Read it.
From the prison service to the chairman, Port Harcourt City Council, Moscow Road, Port Harcourt. Execution order, request for coffins and burial. I wish to inform you that the execution orders have been received from the Office of the Military Administrator of the Rivers State for the execution of 9 condemned convicts on 10th November 1995. 2. You are therefore requested to provide coffins and arrange transport for the removal and burial of the 9 corpses at the government cemetery. 3. Grateful treat as very urgent, please. Signed E.E. Nkang.
From this letter,
Yes,
the only obligation is to provide coffins and arrange for the removal and burial of the bodies.
Yes, my lord.
Need he be present at the burial?
The chairman.
Need he know where they were buried?
Well, my lord, that will be...
From this letter,
yes, sir, my
there's
lord.
no obligation on him. Duty is to provide
Yes, my lord.
coffins,
Yes, my lord.
arrange transport.
Well, my lord, if that would, my lord, with respect, sir, be a narrow interpretation of this letter.
In other words, what I'm saying is
Yes.
this: since we're all interested,
Yes, my lord.
you do more work on where these people were buried.
Yes, my lord.
You call this man and he says, I don't know where they are buried.
Yes,
we're
my lord.
still square one.
Where,
All of us are interested to know where they were
where
buried.
they are, yes, my lord.
This man may or may not know.
Yes, my lord. And the problem that I have, sir, is that if we don't use the coercive powers of this commission, we would then be in a rigmarole.
Who do we call to give us an exact...
My lord,
Not
from
this
a,
man.
No, my lord,
Yes,
from,
can you help us?
from a broad interpretation of this document,
If
he
Master can
says
help
they will
us.
arrange burial. And if I understand burial, burial means to put the person to ground. And if I interpret this document from a broad perspective, I will read the conclusion that from this letter, it was expected that the chairman would arrange the burial. He says, you are therefore requested to provide coffins and arrange transport for removal and burial.
Transport
Yes, my lord.
for removal.
Yes, my lord.
Transport.
Yes, my lord, it depends if the word and is interpreted disjunctively. Yes, my lord, it will
Can
mean
I-
burial. Yes, my
Can I
lord.
help you?
Yes.
Rather unofficially, is that we have an idea
Yes.
about people who kept watch over the site. They can be found. So it's not just the coercive powers of the commission. We can use other means. So if we just leave it at that
Okay.
and close this case, we'll follow it by other means.
My lord, we will accept the assurance of this commission that the matter will be followed. Yes. We will accept that assurance.
The obligation is partly on you too.
Yes, my lord.
Yes.
Yes.
Not on the commission alone, it's on you too. If you give us the name of the person who knows where they were buried, we summon him.
SN, the major knows. The major knows. The major.
Yes, my lord, the problem from our team is that the access is there. We know where the cemetery is, but it is unmarked. We don't know which is the particular, and somebody has to do that, and it has to be
Will the
somebody from
chairman
the
do
department.
that for us?
My lord, the chairman has a department that is in charge, the public health department. Under him, they did the job, and they can point out the particular graves, and that is where the problem is. My lord, at this stage, if I may accede to my learned friend to provide more information to the commission.
Sorry, I think we are jumping the gun here. These people are still, I assume that at least under the land use decree, cemeteries are owned by government too.
Yes.
So the fact of the matter is that we don't even have right of access yet until, even if we knew the places, if you don't have government permission to go and excavate and take out the body, you can't enter the place.
Yes.
Our conversation yesterday included government of Rivers State.
Yes, it did.
And as the president said here when he came about Beko Kuti's property, you go to Lagos State government, they took over the property. At the end of the day, they will send you back to Rivers State government. Rivers State government will then ask the local government chairman to lead your people to the place. So unless we secure that approval, there's very little to go by. Even if we know the place, we can't enter the place because it's government property.
Yes.
And I think that's why I said if we close the discussion at this point and continue with it as part of September 26th meeting, okay, I think that will then be roped into it, because I don't think that this is something that no public officer is going to come here and tell you all these stories when he knows the consequences as far as their jobs are concerned. I think that is.
We concede, my lord, and I just want to say, sir, that in the course of the follow-up, that we expect that the commission should be able to reach some of the people whom we believe will be able to identify the particular graves. We will supply the information, sir. Thank you, my lord. That will be all for this witness.
Part of the commitment we read about from the River State government is here. Help you locate where the 9 were buried. Yes. And you can do that quietly.
Yes, my lord. We will make our own
then
inquiries.
If you have any difficulty, then you can apply to the commission. Then we'll write a letter to the governor.
Yes.
See?
We are very much obliged.
So calling this witness, although on paper he appears as a necessary witness, but what will he say? Nothing. They were buried in a burial ground. Finish.
Yes. What we need is to see where they are actually buried.
Because the letter is just to provide coffins and arrange for removal.
We are very much obliged.
Have you finished? Because I want to ask him a few questions. You, Mr. Nkang, the first paragraph of your submission here is quite elaborate. The category of people you had, and you have 100 lunatics. You have 100 lunatics, and I just needed to know whether these 100 lunatics are graduates from this degree of convicts. Drug barons, suspected armed robberies. I mean, do people graduate from being normal citizens to being lunatics, or are lunatics given to you in custody as prisoners? Because you have, as I said, on the first paragraph here, you said you have 100 lunatics.
About that, Port Harcourt prison is a very large prison, and it's just like a city. So in a city, you can have normal people and abnormal people.
No, in city, people are free to leave. People go home and come back. You don't go
just
home
as
and
we
come back
have
from prison. I'm
just
saying,
as we have mad people in cities. We also have
no. You're not answering my question. I said,
sir.
Did they come to you as lunatics? In which case, you took them in as lunatics, or did they become lunatics? Did normal human beings become lunatics in prison? That's what I'm asking.
No, they don't become lunatics while in prison. We have asylum inside the prison. And if you have some mad relations and things like that, and you don't want to keep them around you, either you take them to the mental hospital where they are treated, or you pass through the court and send them to the prison asylum, where we have doctors to try and see what they can do about them.
Okay. You also made the point that prisoners people who are condemned, you hand them over alive. Does it say anything about their physical condition? I mean, if somebody is condemned to death and the person is brought to you, and you see, for example, that they are physically unwell, will it affect their fate?
Yes, it depends on the type of sickness, especially mental cases. If somebody is identified as a mental case, I don't think he is hanged. He will not be hanged until he has been certified to be well before any hanging takes place.
Your final, just as a matter of curiosity, I mean, if I may ask, I don't know if you remember, but when did you arrive to your office on the 10th of November? What time? Would you remember?
On the 10th of November, I don't even think I slept from the night.
No. I mean, when did you arrive at your desk?
As early as 6 a.m. I was on my desk on the 10th.
Because I find it a bit curious that by 12, the executions had commenced, and that you wrote your letter on the 10th.
Yes.
And the people were executed on the 10th.
Yes, sir.
And the coffins were made on the 10th.
Yes. As early as 6 a.m. on the 10th, I was in the office. And the whole process started on the 10th. Even the sheriff, the coroner, all of them were contacted before 10 a.m.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think on a final note, actually what was said about hanging here and the method of killing raises other questions, which are questions that are being asked all over the world as to whether we should continue to hang people. And I think after the Truth Commission in South Africa no longer hangs people. And I'm hoping that apart from just asking that people be hanged generously, we should be campaigning for an end to the death penalty, because this has become a very important part of our discussion, and I hope that it can continue well beyond the commission.
Yes, I agree completely with the honorable member of the commission. In fact, I should mention at this stage
which one is generous hanging?
Milord, I have submitted a written address.
Oh, you've already done this?
Yes, and we dealt extensively. Yes, my lord.
And aren't we moving too fast? You wanted a witness. Counsel for the commission objected.
Yes, my lord.
I intervened that witness looks like a relevant witness.
Yes, my lord.
Then I asked you to read the attachment to Exhibit 81.
Yes, my lord.
After reading it, we discovered that he was not so relevant. Are you not agreeing with her that you close your case?
Well,
that we close the case now.
The point, sir, is that the case is consolidated, and with respect to one part of the case, the Honorable Commission had already ordered that we should submit a written address, and pursuant to that order,
I'm talking about the case of the Ogoni 9.
Yes, my lord.
That case is closed now.
Well, my lord, if I may try to distinguish, because there's the Mossop case, there's the Mr. Mitty's case, and then there's the Saro Wiwa case, which is really the Ogoni 9 case.
What about it? Well,
so
we take it the two cases are closed.
Well, my lord, yes.
All right.
We think that we will get more from the investigative power of the commission rather than from this oral testimony.
Public hearing closed.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, Milord. Milord, we are urging the council to the commission to ensure that at the next meeting.
Let's finish the hearing. We'll deal with the meeting later on.
As your lordship.
On question of address. I don't know what issues you highlighted, but I like the two parties, all the parties, to highlight certain issues. One dealing with the human rights of Ogoni people in general. Now, we had the evidence of Kotimo. We had evidence of Dauda Como. They gave a completely different picture, that there was tribal town conflict, or Kreka, this one and that one. That's where the killings, not by the security forces. Issue number one. If you discharge your obligation on that issue, the next issue, how far did the oil company contribute to the human rights violations? Two, what you allege were the excesses of the army and the police. Three, how far did the government, federal government, share in the responsibility of what the oil company instigated, according to you, and what Dauda Como and his lieutenant executed? Then you address, fourthly, the issue of environmental pollution. Fourthly or fifthly, then, issue of the prison condition in Port Harcourt prison. We visited it, and there's nothing to write home about at all. A prison built by the colonialists in 1890 something. When was the prison built?
I cannot recall.
And you were there.
It's very old.
It's no question of recall. If you are interested in the history of the institution where you are, and you told us in your exhibit 81,
Milord, we
1,500.
1929.
1,500 inmates in a cell built for about 20 people.
Not a cell, sir.
So all this we want to know in order to make recommendation about prison reform, which is now overdue. Also, whether mere entry into those prisons don't amount to torture, legally defined. Because the impression is that torture is when you start beating me up. You have physical torture, you have mental torture. So I like to be, these points to be emphasized so that it will help us arrive at what type of recommendations we're able to make.
We are very much obliged. As I was saying earlier, my Lord, that with respect to the petition 746, we have already filed a written address. And one of the issues that we looked at was the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and which laid, and that covenant is divided into two. They have the abolitionist states and the retentionist states. That is, those states that have decided to abolish capital punishment and those that have decided to retain it. Now, Nigeria signed as a retentionist state, but the covenant now laid minimum requirements for imposition of capital punishment. And
right.
We have dealt extensively with that to show that the law under which the Ogoni 9 were tried did not meet the minimum standard laid by the covenant, the international covenant. We dealt extensively with all that, and I think, and I agree with the Honorable Commissioner to the extreme left, that it is time Nigeria graduates from being a retentionist state to an abolitionist state.
You say you've already filed your address?
Yes, my Lord.
That's correct?
Matter.
I can confirm that, my lord.
They have?
Yes, my lord.
Otherwise, I'll still make the order that addresses should be filed within 2 weeks.
Yes, my Lord. We will still need to file address to cover the issues raised
All right.
Today.
This is without prejudice to the other meeting for settlement.
Yes, my Lord.
It's ongoing, that is ongoing.
Yes, my Lord.
But the public hearing is ended, except that you still help us to find out where they were buried. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We are very much obliged.